Okay, good afternoon guys, and again welcome back to my channel. This is your Prof Zeus, and for this afternoon we'll discuss about the accounting cycle. Okay, para sa mga basic accounting subjects natin, no? Accounting cycle. Yan, para sa ABM. Now, ano ba yung accounting cycle? Accounting cycle is actually the series of steps, no? Undertaken by the accountant for them to be able to produce what we call the financial statements. Okay, so ano ba yung mga steps in the accounting cycle? Of course, we start with analysis of transactions. Okay, now after analysis of transactions, anong gagawin natin? Yan, we can now go to the recording phase or the journalization. So recording of transactions. Okay, and then after that, ano susunod? Okay, we can now post to the ledger. Posting to the ledger. And then, after posting, we can now prepare the trial balance. Okay, after preparing the trial balance, we now prepare the adjusting entries. We adjust the books and then we prepare the financial statements. Okay, so after preparing the financial statements, we can now close the books. And then, after closing the books, we can now prepare the reversing entries. And then go back. Okay, so this is actually the accounting cycle. Okay, so let me discuss with you in brief, okay, the steps in the accounting cycle. So number one, analysis of transactions. So what are we going to analyze? Okay, now using the entity concept, we analyze first if the transaction is what? Is it for the business or is it for the owners? Okay? So first things first, yung bang transaction na yan ay para sa business or para sa mga owners, no? For their personal use. Now, if that is for the owners, then we don't record that in the books. If that's for the business, then we record that in the book. Now, what else? What are we going to analyze? We also analyze the effect of the transactions. Effect where? Effect in the elements, no? Elements in the financial statements in terms of assets, liabilities, equities, revenues, and expenses. Okay, so that is why we are analyzing the transactions, no? Now, once we have already analyzed the transactions and know the effect of the transactions in terms of assets, liabilities, equity, revenues, and expenses, then we can now record the transactions, no? In recording the transactions, anong ginagawa natin? We record transactions in what we call the journals, no? Journals. Okay, journals are actually what? The book of original entry. Now, when you speak of journals, maraming klase ng journals. We have what we call the special journals, no? Sa special journals, we have what we call the sales journal. We have the disbursements journal. We have the cash receipts book, okay? We have the purchases journal, okay? And then of course, kahit na meron kang special journals, you still have your general journal. Why? Because these are specialized journals, di ba? That caters for specific transactions. So, may mga transactions kasi na hindi tutugma dito sa ating mga sales, disbursements, and all the stuff, no? So, doon mo siya ilalagay sa general journal. Anong mga transaction yun? For example, yung mga tinatawag nating adjusting journal entries. Those adjusting journal entries, okay, will not suit in any of these special journals. That's why we still have to use that general journal, okay? Now, posting to the ledger. So once we have already recorded the transactions in what we call the journals, okay, we then post our entries to the ledger. And when you speak of ledger, we are talking of what? This is the book of final entry. So we are now summarizing and putting into one place, no, all the transactions that affect one account or one account. Okay, so by posting, we are now ready to what? To extract the balances of the accounts, no, involved during the year. And then once we have already extracted the balances, so we extract the balance of the accounts. Okay, so say for example, cash, how much is the balance of cash? Once we have posted and extract, how much is the balance of cash, the receivables, and so on and so forth. Now, whatever balances we have extracted for each account, we then put it in the trial balance, okay? So sa trial balance, we will now know if the debit is equal to our credit entries. No, but it doesn't mean that, if debit is equal to credit in your trial balance, okay, that you have recorded all the transactions correctly. It's not a guarantee, okay? But this is a test whether the debit is equal to credit. Now, how does the trial balance look like? So you have the listing of all the accounts that you use during the period. So all the accounts and then the balances of the account. So for example, you have cash. How much is the cash? 1 million and down the line. Okay, so you get the total for debit and you get the total for credit. It should be equal. That is the trial balance, okay? Now once you have the trial balance, you may be able to identify certain transactions, okay, that needs to be adjusted. For example, yung mga tinatawag nating accruals. Accruals in terms of what? Revenues and expenses, no? Bakit may accruals? Pag-usapan natin yan, no? Because meron tayong tinatawag na matching of cost and revenue. Because of this matching concept, we have to do the accruals of certain accounts, okay? Ano pa? Yung mga deferrals. Yung mga prepayments, no? Ayan, pag-usapan natin yan pagdating natin sa adjustment, no? So lahat ng yan, ina-adjust natin sa libro. Now, once we have already adjusted the trial balance, no, the next step is actually an optional step, and that is what? Preparing the worksheet. Okay, so worksheet kasi, no? This will facilitate the preparation of the financial statements, okay? So nakalagay doon, ano yung unadjusted balances mo, what are the adjustments, and then what are the adjusted balances, no? And then from there you can immediately identify alin yung sa balance sheet, alin yung sa income statement, okay? So that's why we have the preparation of financial statements here. That includes, of course, the statement of financial position, the statement of income, and pag kayo nasa intermediate accounting na, no, yung statement of changes in equity, the statement of cash flows, and of course, the notes to the financial statements. Okay? So, ito yung complete set of financial statements natin that's prepared by the financial accountant, no? Now, after preparing the financial statements, okay, we have reached our goal of preparing the financial statements and we can close the books. Books are being closed at year end, okay? So, by closing the books, we bring all the nominal accounts or the income statement accounts to zero. Okay, why? Because they are just temporary accounts, no? When you speak of income statement, they are just temporary accounts. Yun yung nasa balance sheet and real accounts na tinatawag natin. We don't close it, okay? Yun. So, we can close the books because that's already the year end of the company, okay? So, we bring all the nominal accounts and then we can actually prepare here the post-closing trial balance. Now, in the post-closing trial balance, no? This is post. Ibig sabihin, you have already closed all the nominal accounts. So what will you have are just the real accounts. What will be left are the real accounts. Balance sheet accounts na lang siya. Okay? Now, after closing the books on the first day of the following year, again, this is optional. The company may wish to prepare reversing entries. This is optional, but this will be a big help to the company in terms of what? In terms of consistency in the recording of transactions. Okay, we'll explain later why reversing entry, though optional, now will help in terms of facilitating the subsequent entries that will be recorded in the books. Okay, now remember, I have to make this point. No, we do all of this, and this is based on business documents. Remember that we don't record anything in the books without business documents. Okay, so ano yung mga business documents na yun ulit? Of course, you have the official receipts, no? So whenever you buy something, you ask for official receipts. Why? Number one, that is a proof that you have that a transaction took place, and then number two, you are actually helping the government. Why? Because if you ask for an official receipt, then the seller will have no choice but to declare the sale in the book. Okay, that would be what? That would mean additional revenue in the form of tax to the government. Okay, what else? You have the sales invoices for items that you purchase. Okay, so official receipts are usually for purchase of service. Sales invoices would normally be for goods. Okay, purchase of goods. Okay, so also, so if you go back here, no, one of the reasons why we analyze is we want to know the effect of the transaction prior to recording, no? Why? Because this will help you in terms of when you go to the recording function. Okay, so we analyze the effect of the transactions in terms of the different elements in the financial statements, no? Be it, statement of financial position or statement of income. Now, I have prepared here certain or some simple transactions, and what we will do is we will try to analyze the transactions, okay? Sige. So again, we will analyze in terms of the effect on assets, liabilities, and equity, okay? Sige. Ito na lang. Okay, so gawa natin, no? Ano ba yung mga assets natin? Okay, you have cash. And then you have what else? You have prepayments, right? So you have prepayments or prepaid rent. And then you have supplies. And then you have your property and equipment, okay? Or you have your office equipment. Then you have office furnitures. Okay, mukhang yun na naman ang meron sa assets natin, no? Okay, and then you have your, so these are all assets. Ito yung assets natin. Hanggang saan ba? Nandito, no? And then of course, ito yung tinatawag nating current assets. And these are the non-current assets, yung dalawa, okay? And then on the other side, you have the liabilities, no? So you have the accounts payable. Okay, so I think wala naman ng ibang accounts pa, no? So this is your liabilities. And then you have the equity, okay? So you have the owner's equity, you have the capital. Okay? And then of course you have the drawing. Okay, so this is your equity portion. And the accounting equation is assets is equal to liabilities plus equity. Okay, so this is how we will analyze that transaction in terms of the different elements. Okay, so let's have number one. Number one, invested 200,000 in a consultancy business. Okay, so what is the effect of this transaction in terms of the different elements? Okay, so ano kanyang ininvest? Cash. So the business received cash. Okay, so ano nangyari sa cash? Cash increase, right? So nag-increase ang cash natin. So cash increased by how much? By 200,000. Okay, and then of course this is the capital. So capital also increased by 200,000, right? So anong meron? Is the accounting equation still balanced? Yes, the assets is equal to liabilities plus equity. Okay, next, paid rent for the months of January and February amounting to 24,000. Okay, so again, there's an increase in your asset in the form of a prepaid expense, right? And this is for 24,000. Okay, but then what did the owner use to pay for it? He used cash. So therefore, there's a decrease. There's a decrease of 24,000 in terms of cash. Okay, so is the accounting equation still balanced? Yes, it is still balanced because The effect of the transaction is only in the current asset section. Okay? So, nag-offset siya. Right? Number 3, purchase office supplies for 5,000 paying cash. Okay? So, nagkaroon ka ng increase sa office supplies. So, increase in office supplies 5,000. Okay. By paying cash. So, what did they use to settle the liability? They use cash. So, therefore, nag-decrease ang iyong cash by 5,000 pesos. Okay? Now, what else? Purchase laptop for 20,000 on account. Okay? So, anong effect nito? Nagkaroon ka ng office equipment, tumaas ang office equipment mo, increase in office equipment for 20,000. On account. What do you mean by on account? Hindi mo siya binayaran. So, therefore, ikaw ay mayroong utang. Nag-increase ang utang mo by 20,000. Okay? Purchase office furniture for 10,000 pesos. So, meron kang office furniture. Nag-increase ang office furniture mo for 10,000 pesos. Now, nagbayad ka ba? Ano nakalagay dyan? Paying 50%. So, 50% of 10,000, nagbayad ka ng 5. Ano nangyari sa 5 mo? Binayaran mo ng cash, so nagbabas ang cash mo by 5,000. And then, ano nangyari? Your liabilities, yung kalahati. So, balance 5,000. Sa accounts payable mo, nag-increase. Okay? So, balanse pa ba? Yes, balanse. No? Kasi yung net ng ating assets, ito, 10 minus 5 is 5, which is nasa liability natin. Okay? Now, pay the laptop balance. Laptop balance is what? On account, 20,000. So, babayaran yung 20,000. Ano nangyari? Okay, babawasan natin ng 20,000. So, bumaba ng 20,000 yung kanyang accounts payable, 20,000. And then, ano nangyari? Bakit bumaba? Nagbayad. Anong ginamit niya pambayad? Cash. So therefore, bumaba yung cash mo by 20,000. So that's how you analyze transaction, guys, no? So these are simple transactions intended to familiarize you, no, with the effect on how you analyze the transactions in accounting, okay? So tingnan natin magkano ang balanse. So for example, dito sa ating assets, so you have 20,000, decrease of 24,000, then nag-decrease siya ng 5,000, then nag-decrease siya ng 5,000 at nag-decrease siya ng 20,000. So the cash remaining is 146,000. And then you have your prepaid rent for 24,000. And then you have your office supplies for 5,000. Office equipment for 20,000. And then your office furnitures for 10,000. And then your accounts payable, okay? So ito, setting siya, no? Positive. So you have 5,000. And then your, okay, 200,000 na capital. Okay, so balance pa ba? So that's 146,000 plus 24,000 plus 5,000 plus 20,000, okay, plus 10,000. So the total of your assets, no, itong assets natin na to, ang total nito is 205,000. Total of this is 205,000. How about our equity? Our equity is also 205,000. So balansyado siya, right? So that is how we analyze transactions in accounting, no? So I hope nakatulong ito sa inyo kahit ito ay konting transaction lang, okay? So isipin lang natin, no, whenever we analyze transactions, ano ba to? Is it an asset, a liability, or an equity? Okay, kaya dapat familiar kayo, ano ba yung examples ng mga assets, mga liabilities, at mga equity account, okay? That's why in my book, no, mga previous chapters natin, mga exercises doon is really for the students, no? Maging familiar sila sa ano ba yung content ng assets, liabilities, and equity. Para pag ikaw ay nag-analyze ng transaction, na mas mabilis mong maintindihan. Okay? So this is actually the analysis of transactions. No? Kapag ikaw ay accounting student, dapat may ruler ka. Puti na lang, hindi na ako estudyante, but you put a line here, okay, para maganda yung gawa natin. Okay? So yun, that's it for the analysis of transactions, and mamaya sagutan natin yung ibang transactions dun sa book na hindi ko na-publish, okay? Sige, thank you very much, and then I'll see you again. Bye!